If brain fog is interrupting your meetings, you're always tired by 3 p.m., and perimenopause weight loss feels impossible no matter how disciplined you are, your normal blood work might be the reason why. Because normal is a population average. It was never built for a high-performing woman over 40. Here's the executive problem with a standard blood panel. It grades you against general ranges, not optimal ones. In range just means not diagnosably broken. That's the biological default. This episode is the executive decision to renegotiate the terms. 5 biomarkers, and I'm sharing my real data. 2 came back in the red. 1 flagged outright, and 1 that reads normal but still isn't optimal. And a 5th that's a leading indicator, an early signal every woman over 40 can forecast for, not react to. That one isn't a red flag. It's a preview. By the end, you'll have the exact 5 numbers to agendize for your next appointment. Number 1, the one our continuous glucose monitor can't show us. Everyone watches glucose. My fasting glucose came back at 88. Perfect. Move on. But glucose is the light on the dashboard. Insulin is what's happening under the hood. The body can hold glucose steady for years by quietly pumping out more and more insulin behind the scenes. And by the time glucose finally rises, the damage has accumulated for years. My fasting insulin came back at 3.1. There's a 1-number score that combines them to assess insulin resistance. It's called HOMA-IR. Mine comes out to 0.67. Most labs won't flag insulin resistance until you're past 2.5, but optimal is under 1. My CGM and fasting glucose told me the surface was calm. HOMA-IR proved the tank underneath is calm too. And here's why this is the number most tied to the weight that won't move. Insulin is a storage hormone. And when it runs high, the body stays locked in storage mode, holding on to the very fat you may be trying to shed. The stall isn't a discipline problem. It's a signal problem. Glucose is a lagging indicator. Insulin is the leading one. Fix the insulin and rewrite the future. If we're just meeting, I'm Alysia Bell. I'm 44. I've tracked my macros for nearly 4,000 straight days. I use a fair amount of smart health tech, and I get regular DEXA scans to keep myself honest. I'm not a doctor. I'm an executive who finally decided to run my own body like the most important account I manage. Number 2 is the cholesterol number our standard panel doesn't even print. We get total cholesterol. Mine's 190. Fine. We get LDL. Mine's 95. Fine. And we usually stop there. But LDL measures the weight of our cholesterol. ApoB counts the particles. And it's the particle count that actually drives cardiovascular risk. 2 people can have identical LDL and completely different ApoB. Mine came back at 72, optimal zone, but I had to specifically ask for it. Here's the thing. This is the 1 number on the list we won't feel. No fog, no fatigue, nothing that nags us between meetings. And that's exactly why it gets skipped. We audit every line of the budget at work. Almost none of us audit the 1 number on our own panel that predicts long-term risk best. If there's a single line I'd add to my own order sheet, it's this one. LDL is top line volume. ApoB is the bottom line liability. Number 3 is my first number in the red, hs-CRP, high sensitivity C-reactive protein. It measures silent, low-grade inflammation. No symptom we'd point to. Nothing disrupting us at our desk. Mine came back at 1.4, above the optimal threshold of below 1.0. And I'll be straight with you, because that's the whole point of this series. I feel like I do everything right, and I still have a number pointing at low-grade inflammation. Here's the part that ties back to how we actually feel. Chronic low-grade inflammation is one of the quiet engines behind the afternoon fatigue and the brain fog we keep blaming on a full calendar. Higher CRP has been linked with slower processing and weaker memory on cognitive tests. This is the executive task, the interest we pay on the stress, short sleep, and the cortisol of leading everyone else before we lead ourselves. I'm not going to fake fix it on camera, but I'll tell you the exact lever I'm pulling. Omega-3. The research on omega-3s lowering hs-CRP is genuinely strong. So I'm running it as a real N-of-1 experiment. Load omega-3s, retest, and share updated numbers in a future episode. If it moves, we'll see clear proof in the before and after numbers. Receipts, not promises. Inflammation doesn't send a calendar invite. It just shows up on the balance sheet. Number 4 is the sneakiest on the list because every single value is technically normal. And that's exactly the trap. We check our TSH, see it in range, and close the file. Mine's 3.5 in range, but optimal for how we actually feel is under about 2.5. And free T3, the active hormone, the one that does the work, came back at 2.4 against a floor of 2.3, scraping the absolute bottom. And ferritin, iron stores, critical if we're lifting heavy in the gym, came back at 23. Normal starts at 16, but functional targets for an active woman are often 50 and up. And this is the one with the cleanest fix in the data. In a randomized trial, non-anemic women with ferritin under 50 who supplemented iron reported measurably less fatigue than the placebo group. This is the panel hiding behind I sleep well, I eat well, and I'm still dragging by 3 o'clock with a fog that I can't quite think through. 3 green check marks on paper and a woman who could be told everything's fine, all while she feels the drag every single afternoon. Normal is not optimal. In range is where high performers go to feel tired. Number 5, the leading indicator, the perimenopause panel. The one many women never get until something feels off. FSH, follicle stimulating hormone, for me, came back at 11. And AMH, the marker of ovarian reserve, came back at 0.14, nearly empty. One honesty caveat, because I won't oversell a number. FSH and AMH move with our cycle. So this is a snapshot of a transition, not a fixed verdict. But the direction is the story. And this is where all 3 symptoms we opened with converge across the menopausal transition. The research documents more brain fog and memory complaints, and a measurable shift toward abdominal fat with lower daily energy expenditure. The why won't it move showing up in the data before it actually shows up in how we feel. Here's why it's the anchor of the whole season. Almost every symptom women over 40 quietly Google traces back to this one transition. Perimenopause shows up in our blood work before it shows up in our mirror. So there it is, 5 numbers, 2 in the black, insulin and ApoB, 2 in the red, an inflammation flag I'm addressing with omega-3, and a thyroid panel that reads normal but isn't optimal, and a perimenopause snapshot that works as a leading indicator for what's ahead. I track everything, and this report still taught me something. Fine isn't a metric we accept in business, and it's not a standard we should accept for our own health, because we don't want our balance sheet or our biology in the red. And if you want to audit your own biology the way I audit mine, I built a free 1-page assets audit. The link is in the description. You can find the one green light move to make this week and start there, because when you're optimized, everyone wins. A couple of quick questions from women like us, professionals managing work, home, and biology, and wondering why their current routine isn't serving them. Question 1, which one should I ask for if my doctor pushes back? Personally, I'd start with fasting insulin. It's cheap, it's an early warning, and it goes wrong silently years before glucose does. If we only win one negotiation at our next appointment, this is the one I'd aim for. Question 2, I'm in my 30s. Is it too early for me to care about this? The opposite. Every one of these is a trend line. The women who get ahead of their perimenopause symptoms are the ones with baseline data before the transition, so they can track with what's changing. The best time to pull these numbers was 5 years ago. The second best time is our next physical. So 5 biomarkers covered. 1 rule confirmed. Labs look for red flags. We're looking for green lights. Next week, we move on to something more visible than blood work, body composition. I'll walk you through my actual DEXA scans, what they say about muscle mass, body fat, and bone density, as well as the safeguards I put in place after 40. If this was useful, I hope you'll subscribe. Season 2 is all experiments, all real data, every Thursday. Brilliance is just the boring basics, executed consistently. I'll see you in the next one.